Hello, good afternoon. What is up, everybody? We
Hey
had about
guys.
a good 30 seconds figuring out clapping and introductions to this
Yeah.
right before this, so we're a little giggly at the moment. But hi, welcome. You're listening to another episode of a podcast whose name we have sort of decided.
Yes, we have.
Yes, so congratulations to us.
Yeah, and
It's
congratulations to the audiences
yeah,
who have been
congratulations
waiting.
to you guys as well. I'm certain. So, welcome to the Two Bits Marketing Podcast.
Yay.
Two Bits of Marketing.
Yes.
Yes, there is the off in there, just being very clear. I'm still remembering the name. I haven't practiced this too much.
Yeah.
But this is basically our second podcasty episode where we're going to be talking about some concepts from marketing, which very enjoyable concepts and things that we should really be paying attention to. My name is Sharjeel Yunus. Once again, I'm joined here by Shantanu.
Hey guys.
We are the two bits
Of
of
marketing.
yeah, no, we're two bits.
Yeah.
Marketing is two bits.
So I think what we really thought is why two bits of marketing is like we both are giving a bits of about our experience or what we understand about marketing. So I think it's just those bits which come together, and two because me and him right now, and then even if we have guest speakers in the future, it's always going to be both of us who are going to run it. So two bits of marketing. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be 2.5 bits of marketing.
Yeah, then.
We'll rip off on some old 2.5 Men style comedy.
Yes, we will.
Yeah. Oh
So
boy.
yeah, let's
Such-
jump in. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So today we primarily want to talk about two topics: permission marketing and parasocial interaction design, or parasocial interactions overall. Both of these to me are like one of those fundamental parts of building a brand and getting really into the marketing ecosystem, right? And I think permission marketing was a term that Seth Godin came up with in one of his books, and it really relies on this principle of don't be a jackass,
Yeah.
which I think is such a good principle for every brand to follow.
True, but
Yeah.
but let's define permission marketing. Right? You said how it started, but I was doing a bit of research right before this recording today. What I understood is permission marketing is, of course, the name suggests that you take permission from a customer or from your potential customer. So there are two ways. You already have a customer who likes your product and would want to know more about your brand, and they said, "Hey, I give you a go ahead. Send me your email newsletters. Any kind of marketing campaigns you have, I would love to know. I would want to be the first person to know about it." And I think permission marketing plays a very vital role in something like gaming industry, for example. I have some games, let's say the latest one which came as Spider-Man 2. I wanted to know about it always, right? So 1 year back, they kind of sent an email like, "This is what is
Little
happening."
closer, because I think the
Okay.
audio is a little.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. We give ourselves work and editing in between the recording.
Yes, so yeah.
Sorry to disturb.
No,
sorry to
no, no,
interrupt.
it's all cool. So
Yeah.
I think that's where permission marketing makes sense. And in Canada itself, I think a lot of brands try to do that. When you go to a retail store, you will want to sign up on email. We'll send you emails only. So they specifically ask you while you're paying. I think you had that experience already probably where when you're paying for that any kind of goods or services, there's an option saying, "Hey, I give them permission to send emails." So I think that's the layman term of permission marketing. But yeah, I would want to know more about where you're going at.
For me, it's not just that, right? This sort of goes into like the roots of what is marketing and what is the agenda of marketing. So building off from like last week, right? We sort of were like, marketing is their job isn't really to sell the product.
Yeah.
Like the salespeople and the product team definitely have more ownership in that. And when you build from there, it becomes evident that what marketing is really limited at, and especially the limitation of permission marketing is it's not advertising.
Yeah.
Right? Now, in many cases, when brands take the permission, they're using it for advertising purposes.
Of course, yeah, most
Right?
of them. Yeah.
And right there, the very essence of permission marketing is killed. Like back in the day, you'd be excited to get some newsletters from people you cared about. Now everyone's newsletter is the most optimized newsletter for sales, right? So I feel
True.
like the kind of permissions we give as well, they sort of change and they're transient. Like back in the day, anybody could be my Facebook friend, right? Because
Yeah.
that's how it was. But
Or
now,
Orkut. Let's
yeah.
go to the.
Oh my God, yeah.
I don't know if you guys know about Orkut, but
Yeah,
we had our times when it was there, but yeah, it was pretty
yeah,
intense.
we had basically public scrapbooks.
Yeah,
Which was
that's
just
what.
like, I'm like, what? If you think about it, compared to now, can you think of data privacy and what would have happened there?
I didn't even care about that then, right? Like
Exactly.
when we were growing up, like we were like, okay, wait, I have a platform where I meet this person every day, but now I can meet them more often,
Yeah.
and I'm like, it doesn't make sense. But I think Orkut was one of the most ugliest looking social network in the world, and it involved a lot of thought process. How you are, I think we thought about us more like how we are looking in front of the world in
Yeah.
Orkut versus Facebook.
Yeah.
So I think it was kind of the entry point of social, and then Facebook came along, and now it disappeared into Meta and then stuff. Yeah.
For sure, right? And that's the thing, like, because we're talking now slightly in the realm of social, right? I kind of want, before we get into that highly specific niche, let's just take a couple of steps back and still
Yeah.
look at marketing in itself. For example, in store, when you're talking about retail and you have samples, right? The goal of marketing is to get samples in front of people and to get people to try the samples as much
Yeah.
as possible,
True.
right? Over there, you can't just feed stuff to people. If it's a food thing, you have to take permission. And they're like, hey, would you like to try this? What language you use and the sentence to grab attention is a different, but it's still taking permission, right? You're still doing that. Now, when it comes to emails, I feel like what has happened now is everyone looks at it as an advertising channel,
Yeah.
right? It's like, oh, if you give me your newsletter, if you give me your email address, I promise you my newsletter is gonna come only once a week or
Yeah.
once a month. It's gonna be the most exciting newsletter in your entire email that entire month. This is the only newsletter you will need in your life for this. I'm like, yo, that's too much.
But I have a different point around that, right? I think it differently. Like a lot of brands do it pretty well. Like I'll give you for example, we're just talking about D brand. They kind of some like most of the time they do pretty well. Like they send you a campaign or something new which came up
Yep.
just because you signed up, and they write on the email, you signed up, this is what it is, right? Amazing kind of. I think that's what the next gen kind of permission marketing is. But
So
recently,
that bleeds in,
but
I would say what you're talking about sort of bleeds into the concept of the parasocial relationship as well.
okay, which we're going to talk about
Yeah.
next
And
in a bit.
just
yeah.
to like quickly introduce that because you bought a D brand, right?
Yeah.
I know you really like that brand,
yeah, like
right? Therefore, you don't mind getting an email from them.
I know I do. That's what I was going to. The next point is like they just recently launched their ghost case and stuff, and they randomly did some other stuff last couple of months. And at one point, I think I got 2 or 3 emails from them in a week, and they were amazing emails. They were written extremely well. Like they make fun of themselves. They're like, you can give us your money. I know you want to, and just sign up or order this. But I think at a point it got very boring. Like I'm like, okay, dude, I think I didn't expect this from you. So I think permission marketing when really meets your expectation or exceeds it is great. But when it
Yeah.
goes below, like, hey, I knew that this brand will not kind of send me 3 emails in a week, and when they do, I think the trust factor goes away. So I think
Yeah.
permission marketing with trust and of course your loyalty or love, affection towards the brand is very important for you to enjoy it. Now, flip side to this, you spoke about newsletter. So I follow a YouTuber, and he has a newsletter where he sends only one in a month. And what that newsletter does is the best things he learned in that month, which you can benefit from. He shares some YouTube videos and some amazing apps which he has used off late, and that's amazing. I think he has never overdone it. It's kind of scheduled at the end of the month, but sometimes it can move around. But I've never seen an email more than once a month. So that way is good. Like I think as a brand or individual, let's say for us at 2 bits of marketing, right? If we were to start a newsletter in the
Ladies
future,
and gentlemen, sign up for the
sign up
newsletter.
for the newsletter, please. So whenever it comes to be decided, right? But if we did this, I think how we would do it, because we are talking about this, so we should of course go with those same values which we follow, right? Otherwise, there's no point of talking
Yep.
about this in a podcast. So if we did this in the future, we would make sure that we send you one email in a month, but it has to be a damn good email which we are proud of. So I think
Yeah.
a lot of brands forget, and then a lot of brands when like the Mintras of India and then different brands in India and around the world, why they overdo it also because I think marketing team is overburdened with a lot of KPIs.
Yeah,
They
and
need
it's
to
very sales KPIs.
Yeah,
right?
sales
Like,
KPIs.
For example, the newsletter you told me about, right? It seems like one of those kinds which is designed to help you out,
Yeah, exactly.
right? And I have a lot of newsletters I go through like on a weekly basis, at least 15 ones on a regular weekly
Wow, that's a
basis I
lot.
check. Some of them come weekly, some of them come monthly, but in a month I have like 15, 20 newsletters to go through.
And these are the ones which you signed up for,
Yeah,
and
these
you
are all
still following up with them.
more or less. Like
Okay.
sometimes I get bored and I don't like check all of it
Hmm.
because most of it is in like say marketing, behavior science, these fields, right? So
Hmm.
there'll be like weeks when I'm too exhausted with like accounting homework or something.
Hmm.
That point I'm not. That
Yeah.
week I'm just like,
Makes
yeah,
sense.
dude, like how much has marketing changed in 1 week? I can
It
afford
wouldn't.
to skip this week.
Yeah.
Nothing revolution. Trust me, if marketing changes that much, people are going to talk about it for more than a week.
Yeah,
Right? I
exactly.
will hear about it. So 1 week doesn't really matter that much in
Hmm.
like some of my newsletters, but those are all newsletters designed to educate me and make me better at the things that I want to get better at.
Hmm.
Right? Very rarely is there a sales plug in that newsletter. If
Yeah.
there is, maximum will be like, oh, we have a workshop. We know you're going to ignore this, but we have a workshop.
Yeah.
Just thought we should let you know.
So in a way, if you're not putting sales in at the center of the newsletter, I think that it wins, because
Yeah.
I don't blame a brand or an individual or a creator trying to push their products in a very subtle way where I gave you the value 1, 2, 3. Now I need an X from you. So the X is like, if you can visit my link or something, and
Yep.
by the time if you're read and you clicked, so probably I think as a creator or a brand, you're like, whoa, this email or this worked for them, right? Because if you're still reading till the last point, it definitely means the data or the whatever content is being written is useful for you.
Yeah,
So I
and
think in
I'll
that.
tell you what the other big thing as well is, right? Which
Hmm.
I think is the bit that most people are getting wrong now. There is a big thing about repurposing content.
Hmm.
I'm all for it in a few instances,
Hmm.
but dude, if I follow on YouTube and you put the same stuff on Instagram and then
Hmm.
you put the same thing in a newsletter, why are you expecting me to follow all three?
True.
Right? Like
Yeah.
I sometimes it's just I find it very very annoying
But
because I follow some brands. I'm like, dude, YouTube. Take HubSpot for example.
yeah.
Uh, they are the content engine.
Yeah.
Right? They, oof, so quick at content and anything, and they have a lot of templates as well.
Hmm.
Check out our free templates at some point.
Yeah. We have all the plans, but nothing done yet. So
Yeah, we're
yeah.
slowly getting there.
That's the whole point about the podcast, right? In
Yeah,
starting, we said
we're
it's an
slowly
experiment.
getting there.
Yeah.
So, but the idea of it is when you look at a company like HubSpot or something like that,
Hmm.
they took my permission once,
Hmm.
right? Because I wanted some things.
Yeah.
And after that, it was like, like it's so much coming. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
stop, please.
Because
Please
they also
stop.
have HubSpot Academy, so I think they keep sending you
Yeah.
once a week. I signed up for that a couple of months back, and I keep getting those emails every couple of weeks, and it
Yeah,
gets
and then
frustrating.
they have those email loops as well. Like, oh, we see you haven't opened your email from us in a long time. Should we take you off? Which is almost like guilt tripping somebody,
Hmm.
right? Because you're like, oh yeah, this, that. And doesn't, I think, man, some of this is to me at a personal ethics and behavior level, right?
Hmm.
If just keep those people out of your email loop. Don't
Hmm.
make them feel bad about not opening your email. That's
Yeah.
never a good impression to give off as a brand.
That's true.
Right? Like, can you just imagine that nagging teacher? You know you haven't done homework. Everybody knows you haven't done homework.
Yeah.
But this one teacher keeps asking you, "Where's your homework?"
Yeah.
Isn't-
It's
it's like that.
frustrating.
It's not really a good feeling.
Hmm.
Right? And that's the thing about permission marketing. It's so important to really, really understand the feeling of the end customer and the end user almost.
Hmm.
Because the thing is, when somebody gives you a permission for something, like maybe at one point in time, I would have wanted to download some template off of HubSpot.
Hmm.
They had my permission then. But that doesn't mean you fucking exploit the life out of that permission, dude.
Yeah.
You can't use it for the next 3 years. Right? You had
Hmm.
my permission then. And the thing about permission is you kind of have to keep taking it repeatedly. And that's one of the things of permission marketing, which
Hmm.
really makes sense. Right? And that's one of those principles we truly have to start building towards.
Makes
One
sense.
way
Yeah.
to really look at this is, for example, you really like Apple and Nike ads as well.
Yeah.
Right? Every time they make a great ad, they have a permission to show me another ad.
Hmm.
The moment they make a bad ad, I'm like, I'm not sure if I want to see the next Apple ad.
Hmm.
Right? Or you'll be like, you have my permission to let go of my expectations maybe once or twice after this.
Hmm.
But if Apple puts out 3 to 5 bad ads in a row, you'll not want to see the sixth ad. right? And that's the idea, like you mentioned, quality behind permission.
Hmm.
When you take somebody's permission for an activity, the quality of that activity should be really high,
Yeah.
right? So these are some of the basics of permission marketing, and
Mm-hmm.
one of the other core points is the difference. One second. Ooh.
Yeah. You're
Yeah,
going to be.
the mic definitely picked that up.
Yeah.
So no matter where you go in the world, there'll always be, again, didn't have my permission, right? This person on the bike most likely did not have permission to make the noise,
Hmm.
right? It is still in their right to do it,
Yeah. Good example. Yeah. See
right?
how we
That's
pick up.
exactly, yeah. Welcome to thinking like a marketeer. We just take a real life and we just go, yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
This is exactly it. They don't have my permission to do it, but they have their own right.
Mm-hmm.
And brands really exploit that aspect of it. They're like, oh, I have your email, I have a right to do this.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh, geez. But if I go to like an F1 race, then I can't complain about the noise.
Hmm.
That's like, come on.
That's what you go for
Yeah.
in F1, right?
And the other bit, which I really wanted to bring up, was advertising.
Hmm.
Now, in a lot of cases, advertising to me works very against the principles of permission marketing.
Okay.
Take, for example, how we do any sort of most sorts of paid advertising today is keyword centric or phrase centric or search centric, right?
Yeah.
The moment I have that, you were searching for, let's assume, you want to go to Whistler or something, and you're just looking for a car rental,
Hmm.
right? Because you're like, I don't want to take my own car. Roads are going to be annoying because it's winter,
Winter.
there'll be snow, this, that. So you want to rent a car. Make that search, and then 100 ads for cars show up.
Yeah.
N- It's you were in the market for something, fine. Now everybody's showing up your way. People think this is permission marketing, right? Performance advertising, and like, oh, you searched, I am just in front of you, dude. Yeah, that's advertising. It's not permission marketing.
Hmm.
And permission marketing to me, that getting that permission almost on a regular basis, and also just being better human beings. That's pretty much all it is. It's so
I think we're
rooted
asking a
in
lot from the brands and for the marketers. Apologies for anyone who listening from HubSpot or from anywhere else.
I don't mean to criticize HubSpot.
Yeah,
You
it's,
guys
it's
are
the
great.
thoughts, right? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the thoughts.
you-
How we can really improve the processes, because I think in next, what Apple did with Meta, like
Yeah, also HubSpot is a content company.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
That's what they
brand
do,
is a
like,
content brand.
I think.
Right?
But yeah, again, going back,
Sharmaji's Dhoklas are not a content company.
because I think we are also now we're mixing permission with also privacy, right? So now
Yes.
lot of caveats come through. There a lot of slippage happen because I search for something, I see 100 ads. I was talking to you about something, say probably we plan to have a pizza tonight, and then you're like, wait, I'm seeing only ads of pizza. So I don't know if it's probably could be permission marketing, but also it's privacy issues. So
Yeah,
I think we
and
can be.
Just
Yeah.
like simple things, right? For example, a recent client of mine, they run a security firm,
Hmm.
right? Based out of Saudi. And I was like just researching the market. What does it look like? Next thing I go to YouTube, not YouTube. I go to some video platform, right? I think it was the other ones because YouTube I have premium. So I was watching a video somewhere on some random place on the internet. Next thing I see security guard ads. I'm like, hell yes, this is exactly what I want. And this is the worst part. I think we as marketeers do research and we look at different topics. And
Yeah.
my ads sometimes, man, they're like 1 month shoes, next month security guard. After that, how to run a kitchen guide. I'm like, oh, what is happening?
Probably right now podcast. So,
Yeah. Right now I'll be
Yeah.
speaking Podbean and I think Podbean's ads, right? Literally one of the selling points is you don't even have to say the phrase. You can just type it out in the chat. Our AI generated voice tool will speak it for you on your behalf.
Amazing.
And I'm like, at this point, why do I even need to exist?
Yeah.
Right? So because you said podcast, I'm like, yeah, I've been getting hundreds of those ads too.
Yeah.
Because
We were searching and doing a lot of stuff,
we
right? Yeah.
primarily we're looking for a platform, and if you folks know any, we're looking for something that helps us really transcribe things and
Yeah.
that helps us with quick video edits because we really don't want to spend that much time. Now, if you know anybody who's going to sponsor us, and
Oh, yes.
in return we will help them out with their marketing, because
Yeah, we
we
would.
can do that. That'd be like a sweet kind of
Amazing.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. But coming back to the advertising permission marketing bits, right? Another very cool way of thinking of this is what Tesla does with its cars
Hmm.
and the entire celebration mode aspect of it.
Hmm.
Right? It's almost like giving your car permission to celebrate. Like just having that one extra. Do I have your permission to do this?
Hmm.
To
What do you
me,
mean
is
by
very
celebration
important.
mode? The light
The
dance, that
Yeah, the
one,
dance
the Christmas.
kind of
Okay,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah, whatever it's called, right? I just call it celebration
yeah.
mode.
Okay.
But stuff like that is a very
Hmm.
interesting form, right,
Hmm.
of looking at seeking permission. It's literally my car can do this anytime.
Yeah.
But think of it this way, right? Every time you talk to a friend, you're like, dude, you want to know something fun?
Hmm.
You're
I
taking
get you.
permission,
Yeah.
right? You don't just start off with fun thing.
Yeah.
You always do that. So
Hmm.
it's basically brands have got to learn how to be human beings again. Like little bit goes a long way.
Very true.
Yeah.
But where else? What else can we talk about permission marketing here? I'm thinking, how would what client are you working on right now? Let's say,
So I'm working on quite a few of them, right? One of them, and this is a very interesting one, is with one of my clients is a therapist, right?
yeah,
And she has her own practice. The way permission would work there is very different.
yeah, exactly.
Because in therapy, the idea is unless you have the client
Hmm.
interested in therapy, there's nothing that my client can do to help them,
Yeah, exactly.
right? My client is the
Or
therapist.
unless they even realize they need therapy, right? That's
Yeah.
the biggest hurdle of
Yeah.
that.
So when we talk about permission marketing for them, that's why we have the podcast, right?
Hmm.
Because the podcast over there, the idea is, hey, we want to establish this as a space of comfort and safety.
Hmm.
And the idea is also for her personality to really come out,
Hmm.
right? So we're building on a parasocial relationship, which
Hmm.
indirectly helps with permission marketing. Because here's the thing: you're more likely to allow somebody who you spend time with, take any influencer, right?
Hmm.
On an influencer, imagine you spend 10 minutes of your month with them,
Hmm.
right? Most of your friends on Instagram aren't really posting that much. You're spending like 2 minutes a month with your friends' posts and 10 minutes a month with your influencer posts.
Hmm.
So at that particular point in time, your influencers have a better social contact with you. The relationship is better.
So right now
Right?
we are jumping on parasocial
Yeah.
interaction. So yeah, we have shifted from
Sort of, yeah. This happens a
permission
lot
to.
with me.
So before that, we have to. I think we have to define what parasocial interactions are.
We'll come there,
Yeah.
right? Because the idea is once we establish the fact that this is a relationship,
Hmm.
and again, the reason for using this client as well is pretty much the fact that we're building a relationship just so we can come to a point where we can ask for permission,
Hmm.
right? Because there's nothing that entitles me to ask for permission. Right
Makes sense.
now.
Yeah.
There's literally nothing,
Hmm.
right? And similar is true for some of my other clients as well. Like one of my other clients, Dubai leadership, she is into that spectrum. She is an academician as well.
Hmm.
She has a lot more credibility to ask for permission,
Yeah.
right? Because she's like, I've been doing this for 40 years.
True.
So permission does come with a few things, I will say.
Hmm.
But as far as the biggest way of getting people to say yes is to have a good relationship with them, right? Because that's how human beings work. If you don't have a good relationship with someone, why would you expect them to say yes? That's not gonna happen.
True. I think that way also all these celebrity endorsements or campaigns which happen
Yep.
like movies. I don't think any celebrity is looking out there like, hey, do I need permission for this person to? They shared a reel on some campaign of a movie or something I'm doing, and I don't really have to exclusively ask them because they are already following it. They are already like kind of you're like God to them in
Yep.
most of the places in the world. So they would be they will feel entitled, like they'll feel happy enough to, dude, you liked it and shared it. Go ahead. So I think in that way, there's no permission marketing which exists. I think it's pretty much parasocial interactions. Mostly,
Yes.
yeah, right.
And
So
that's the thing. Like permission marketing, at the end of the day, is a very marketing word written by a marketeer.
maybe in
Right?
the future, I feel there would be no permission marketing in a way. They would just be like something like consent. You just have a consent of getting whatever brand is doing and just get it because I don't know like you. There's so
I
many
would
ways to
say,
market
like,
nowadays,
yeah,
right?
that right. The issue
There's
is
so
that.
much. It's so confusing now. Like if say we started like we take a client example for like we will of course do this exercise in the future, but we take a client today. They're like, hey, I my business is all about permission marketing because I will not be able to sell this unless I have a exclusive permission from the customer that they want this. how would we approach it? Because there's other ways to do it.
Yeah.
Like we could,
So
yeah,
take for example the company I was telling you about that was into satellites and
yeah,
antenna extensions and stuff.
hmm,
Their clients are literally institutions, organizations, and governments.
yeah,
So anything, literally more than 1,000 people at a venue is the minimum clientele they have, or it's some off-site rig for the oil machine or
hmm,
the navy or something like that, right?
okay,
So at that particular point in time, you really need permission
hmm,
to talk to the people who are in charge of decision making to even begin with. It's very, very corporate. Right? And corporate in the sense, even if I go, they will expect me to wear a suit and tie for that meeting.
yeah.
Right? And I'll be like, oh God,
Do you have one?
no.
No. So you rent it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
So
one
in
of,
this case, they're not asking your permission.
yeah,
They're like, yeah,
I don't have a say in that,
yeah,
right? But the idea is when you're in that form of business,
hmm,
permission marketing is not necessarily for you.
hmm,
Right? Your entire clientele is what 100,000 people at the max across the planet.
hmm,
More people than that aren't even applicable to your things. So I would much rather use group dynamics and in-group theory over there,
hmm.
right? As in, hey, we are all part of this ecosystem. What can we do differently?
Got
So
it.
because it's such a limited size, but if you're selling Twix or
Hmm.
some other chocolate or something,
Yeah.
then it's like the 8 billion people, 4 billion use the internet. Your product's relevant to 1.5 billion people,
Yeah.
right? 1.5 billion versus 100,000 is the difference is way too much.
Yeah.
You can't use the same concepts at
So I
that
think
scales.
so. In the what it means is permission marketing is not for every business.
Yeah.
You have to be very careful what you decide on. I think permission marketing goes really well with retail channels like any kind of clothing brand, consumer goods,
Anything that's
uh,
generalist,
journalists. Yeah, in a way.
right?
Good.
Like which many people can use, and not just use, but even something like a learning ecosystem,
Yeah.
right?
E-learning platforms,
Yeah,
something like that.
e-learning platforms, or even like take there's this what was that one, the one that's like pretty Reforge.
Hmm.
They're like pretty famous for their VC investor, those kind of decks and conversations, right?
Okay.
They have a lot of interesting material in that space. Um, Again, I have a I just wanted to access to the resources page because they put out interesting content.
Hmm.
Now they keep sending me emails directly spam. I'm like, oh, whatever,
Yeah.
right? But over there, their entire clientele, if they actually think about it, is people who are making VC pitches, VC decks,
Yeah.
who are going in for funding and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I am not their clientele,
Yeah. Makes
right? I am just a freeloader in that case. Okay, oh, you're making this, I will also take free ka copy.
Yeah.
In that case, do Reforge have to give a shit about me? I will argue no. Right? Because the idea of marketing is to be most convenient to your customers and take permission from people who are interested in your product more than anything else
Hmm.
and who are interested in your company or brand. Now, where most people get this mistaken is just because somebody looked in my direction, it's almost like that Eve teasing concept, right?
Yeah.
Just because I looked in that direction, the other party is interested. I'm like, what? This makes no sense. I just saw it, dude.
Yeah.
I'm standing 5 miles away.
True. Very
So
well
it's,
explained.
it's almost like we do a lot more of that today.
Hmm.
And that's my big, we should really raise our own standards a little bit.
Cool.
Yeah.
What else?
Weird note, right? But parasocial interactions.
Yeah, I think
why
we spoke
are
a lot
moving in
about
that
this.
direction.
Yeah.
So the concept of a parasocial interaction is basically one-sided relationships slash interactions.
Hmm.
So and this is very true in celebrity culture, pop culture, where you almost
Influencer.
yeah. For example, right now Matthew Perry passed away recently,
Yeah.
right? Everyone felt connected to Chandler.
Yeah.
Not many people knew the Matthew Perry story,
Hmm.
right? So at the end of the day, there is a parasocial relationship between you and Matthew Perry, which is he does not know you exist.
Yeah.
You know he exists.
Hmm.
You have feelings for that particular character slash actor slash role they play,
Yeah,
whatever,
true.
whatever. They don't know you exist as such. This is also true for how brands operate.
Hmm.
Right? Your strongest community members have the strongest feelings for you. It's a
Hmm.
little bit on the creepy side if you think about it. For example, some celebrities have stalkers and that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
which is again, brands don't have to worry about that. If I had like a brand and 100 stalkers, I'd be like, hell yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, great, I have 100 stalkers as a brand, like not as a human,
Yeah.
right? I do not want not one, not one stalker, please.
Yeah.
It'd be creepy.
Yeah.
But if you're a brand and there's these 100 people who are so interested in everything that you do, that's a great thing.
Hmm.
It's your job then to like sort of empower them and build from there. But the idea of a parasocial interaction is how do you design a one-sided relationship,
Hmm.
right? Because that's what brands really need to start focusing some of their efforts on, especially on social media. Why do influencers do better than most brands? Because influencers have built that parasocial relationship and parasocial
But
interaction.
but the influencers also work for the brands, right? So that's when
In some
brands use them for
cases,
parasocial interactions in a way.
yeah, they use them more as affiliate marketing slash brand awareness tools,
Hmm.
as opposed to true like the true advantages of parasocial. Take for example the Michelin man, the tire dude.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody feels immediately connected.
Yeah.
There's a relationship built.
It's fun. It's not too mature, I feel, and
And
the
that's
industry
the-
being so boring. First of all, like it's pretty big. Like
Yeah.
Pirelli never did that, I guess. Only Michelin kind of did. So
Yep. And
Yeah.
not just that, right? There's
MRF, Sachin,
MRF. Yeah.
one of the biggest cricketer in
There
the
was
world.
a lot more celebrity as opposed to a relationship with the brand, right?
But that's what I'm saying, right? So now again, it comes under parasocial because the brand is using a celebrity, or if they use
Okay.
a influencer today.
Fair. So let's
Right.
make that differentiation, right?
Hmm.
Of celebrity versus pure parasocial. A pure parasocial interaction is one where the brand itself is the personality,
Ah, okay.
like the brand,
Yeah.
right? The brand itself is a personality,
Hmm.
right? Nike getting athletes for their marketing campaign is not parasocial interaction.
Got it. Okay.
That's just celebrity culture. And that's celebrity endorsement. It's why people want to be in an ad with Shah Rukh Khan and not with Sharjeel because
Yeah.
who cares about me, dude? Let's be real. If you find
Yeah.
10 people on this planet, we are lucky,
Yeah.
right? There's probably 10 people who care about Shah Rukh Khan in like his own house. Right? Let's be real.
Even his dogs and everyone. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny. So
But
good point. Yeah, but I
the
think
main idea, so that's what I'm trying to build now, is why did I say the Michelin man? Is because that is a form of representation of an identity of the company. Anything which has a strong mascot culture, that has a strong visual culture, has a sort of parasocial interaction. And again, you're not necessarily calling it faces. Take Favicol, right? Immediately the parasocial interaction is set because you're like, oh, this is a fun brand,
yeah.
right? You're not even thinking of the brand. You're just like, this is fun. So
Something
you're-
like Disney too.
yeah,
But
right.
but Disney created their own their own assets, right? Mickey Mouse or anything under the
It's,
sun.
I would say, a little unfair to compare entertainment companies because they have a little bit of an advantage in the space because they're doing a lot more. A lot of their business is dependent on building parasocial interactions. Like nobody's gonna buy a ticket for a movie, and they have also the celeb culture behind them. But I would say within the context of brands in itself, right? Take car brands. Car brands have so much potential with the animals that they represent. Right? Some of the car brands. At least.
Jaguar.
Jaguar, Lamborghini, and the
Lamborghini.
bull. You have Ferrari and the horse. All of these are like, oh, and immediately in your head you're like, oh, I can relate to something. You don't know what it is yet. There's no, and that's the writer's job to figure out that relation. But you see, there is something to relate. There's something to build a relationship on now. So think of it like, how do you make friends with people? That's the idea of brands as well, right? As brands, because in social media, largely parasocial interactions are limited to social media and mass media.
Yeah.
Right? There's not going to be email or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And assuming most brands don't have the budget for TV ads and radio ads because there's a little expensive. Although CTV is making it more affordable in some places. Largely, we're going to be sticking to social media, right? And social media is essentially, hey, who do I want to hang out with? Keep telling people there's only two factors that determine your success on social: hangoutability and relatability. Actually, not relatability, remarkability. I keep getting confused in my own terms. Basically, hangoutability is, do I want to hang out with this brand? That is a function of a relationship, right? Remarkability is getting people to say something about something you've done.
Yeah.
which is a function of engagement. So one satisfies the algorithm, the other satisfies the community. That's how social primarily works. It has always worked that way, never will work any other way. At least the low hanging fruits of social, which is X and Instagram and Twitter and all of those places.
You already said X, so
Nah. Oh, yeah, sorry.
go on. Yeah.
But how do brands then build parasocial interaction is the important question, right?
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting question. How do you humanize a brand? That's what we're truly asking when we say how do we build a parasocial interaction. So what are your thoughts on
So would one way be a fun brand in a way would make it parasocial or no? Or do you need a
you
social
need a
asset or you need
relationship. You
but
don't need you need a defined state. For example,
the Ryanair, for example,
yeah,
right? That's a
Ryanair to
parasocial
some
interaction
level,
in a way.
some level I will say, but a closer thing to that is also like um, Hot Wheels. Car
Okay.
brand
Yeah.
goes after emotions, children, all of this.
Yeah.
It has a relationship value,
Hmm.
right? And that's the core of a parasocial interaction. For example, Matthew Perry
Yeah.
passed away. Everyone felt sad.
Yeah, and for friends, it's still a
Yeah,
parasocial interaction because
right.
they are getting money, they're getting people subscribing again,
Yeah, and
watching, and
that's different. Right? That's money. Business is a different part. Let's just look at the pure human part. It is you feel sad
Yeah.
when something happens to that person. It's you celebrate with them, right? Brands don't really do that. That's what I'm trying to differentiate as. Because some brands, you were telling me about D brand, like saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
you're the ones who bought us this Lamborghini. Thank you so much."
yeah.
Right?
Or their
With you.
bio, right? Like the
Yeah.
most expensive tape in the world. It's a 3M tape, but they did such a crazy job. Like
Yeah.
8-year-old
So that
company.
is an example of a particular thing, right? There's, of course, a lot of other brands. I'd say this is any sports brand you look at, immediately great at relationship building.
Yeah, but yeah, we already spoke about entertainment, but yeah, Ted Lasso, for example, like even though it's entertainment, but I think they created their own kind
Yep.
of a not a real social football club. But I have a feeling if you go out there and ask out of 100 people, probably 70 will be like, wait, is Ted Lasso not a real club? Or
Yeah.
AFC Richmond is not a real club? So I think it's pretty funny. Like they
Yeah.
made it so relatable and so much fun. Like it's pretty
Exactly.
crazy, yeah.
Relatable and just that emotion of I want to hang out with this. I'm gonna miss this. I like this. In when we go into like the far realms of creative, I'd say film, theater, and stuff like that, you're bound to see a lot more of this, right? Because you have to make, or even writing, co-writing, you have to get the reader to like the character or dislike the character.
Like the Harry Potter series, like books, they are pretty much a good example.
Yeah,
Like
and it's not again about good or bad relationship. Take like in Game of Thrones, Joffrey. Everybody hated him. Everybody universally, right? The actor who played it even was like, "Oh, dude, people think of me as I'm actually Joffrey. That's
yeah,
how I am as a
exactly,
human
right.
being."
And that's a
Right?
compliment in a way, but
It
yeah,
is,
it goes
but
on.
that's the thing. Your relationship itself is you build the relationship, and it's about how do we as brands start building on these principles of a relationship as opposed to content.
So let's cut off from the entertainment. I think we spoke a lot about entertainment, film.
Let's
Say
look at coffee if you want, right?
coffee
It's-
or even a mobile brand or consumer brand, right? Because they're also very tough. Like before, I remember we used to have a lot of brands which used to play around with mascots and things, but now they move away from that because kind of people get boring of it or they're not able to really create something like Pixar or whatever these guys did. Like, so let's start with coffee. How would you make coffee parasocial interaction? Would talking about the journey of a coffee, how it came to be for that brand or that flavor, kind of go into that bucket or not at all? Do you think?
not necessarily for me, because how is that building a relationship?
Like
Right?
you're still getting a conversation there.
A conversation.
Yeah, right. And
Right? But it's
like
almost
Nescafe, they made, let's say they made assets of Nescafe, Coke Studio, Nescafe Music Cafe, the
that is way
basement.
better. That is
Yeah.
again creating your. That's just advertising.
Advertising.
Right? That's advertising.
What
That's
is
just putting
parasocial?
your-
But isn't Nescafe, because Nescafe people still have relationship in a one-way
Yes.
form, right?
Some people definitely do, and for some people it works.
Yeah.
Right? If Nescafe stopped tomorrow, some people would feel really bad about
Yeah.
it. Rest of the world would not care. And this is true of all parasocial interactions. For example, Taylor Swift. Everyone loves her. I have not really heard a Taylor Swift song for the last 8 years.
Wow. Okay.
Because I'm again not into music, right? I'm not
Hmm.
that person. Like if I catch a song, it's probably because I was somewhere and was playing,
Hmm.
and then I ended up asking somebody about it.
Hmm.
Because I'm usually not listening to that much. At least I'm listening like instrumental or like very different kind of music. I'm not really listening to like Taylor Swift
Vocals
is
in a
at
way.
least somebody whose name I know. I
Yeah.
don't even know who else is there in music right now, dude.
That's
Like,
okay. That's
yeah,
fine. Yeah.
but that's the idea. But for me, if something happened to say one of my YouTube and people that I follow, I
Huh.
feel really shit about it,
Hmm. So
right?
is that a
So
parasocial
that is
interaction now?
pure parasocial, right?
Okay.
Now, as a brand,
Hmm.
think of the way humans have or personal branding goes.
Hmm.
It's built on the principles of parasocial interaction
Fair enough.
within the broader scope, right?
Hmm.
Take something like Coffee Day in itself.
Yeah.
That's why we talk so much about brand language. We talk about brand templates. We talk about typography. We talk about fonts.
Hmm.
All of these are forms of representation of that relationship,
Hmm.
right? So that's where you start thinking in that way.
Okay.
Now, in case of relationship building, right?
Hmm.
What is a relationship? A relationship, the way I define it, is a set of emotions, feelings, and moods.
Hmm.
Right? So when you skew a lot of your content towards your relationship with coffee,
Hmm.
as opposed to journey of a coffee bean,
Hmm.
what you're getting out of it as a response is different, and what you're building is different,
Hmm.
right? And of course, these are all like, think of it this way: why do some companies, especially the modern coffee day roasters, they have this thing of brew your own coffee, tell us what you like right at the start, and we'll customize this for you,
Hmm.
right? They're essentially building a parasocial relationship with your coffee, right? It's one
Interesting.
sided.
Yeah.
The coffee doesn't freaking know you,
True.
right? You are, but
It's
somehow
probably the
influence.
same coffee which you have had for last 15 years.
Yeah,
Like it just with different name and
just
branding.
yeah. And honestly, like that's something that I also want to build one day as a company. This was an idea that I had in college, right? Because for one of my MBA classes.
Hmm.
But the concept of it is, I am. Most people I know are not, or most men I know,
Hmm.
not really the biggest fans of buying shampoo and soap,
Hmm.
right? In the sense that's just like, oh, khatam ho gaya, I'll just go buy the next one at the store.
Yeah.
And it's not like, I don't really know too many. I know some men do it. They're like, oh, very picky.
Hmm.
I don't know too many men who are that picky about it. They're like, whatever works for me, dude.
Hmm.
And what I essentially really, really get annoyed by is when you go into most people's washrooms, even mine, you have bottles of different shapes and sizes
Hmm.
and colors, and all of it looks really ugly. One bottle is this, one bottle is this, one is fat, one is thin, one
Yeah.
just looks very luxurious for no goddamn reason. You don't need that much, right? So basically, it is a shampoo slash soap company, but we custom make the soap for your skin, as soap and shampoo. We custom make that for your skin type, and based on smells that you like.
Hmm.
Most likely there'll be 5 or 7 smells which everyone thinks is their own, but it's really not. It's
Yeah.
like everyone likes that smell, dude.
True.
Right? So that, but I would then give it to you as Shantanu's soap,
Hmm.
right?
So you're making it individual, like you're creating some
Yeah,
kind of a connection
I'm
there, right?
creating a connection of the brand slash product with you.
Hmm.
That's why everyone loves buying a PlayStation.
Yeah.
Dude, buying a PlayStation, buying a car. For women, it may be dresses, right? Because I know like some women who get very excited about shopping and buying dresses.
Hmm.
The only time I can think of me being that excited buying something is PlayStation.
Yeah.
I don't get excited. Screw shoes. Not interested.
Yeah.
Please, buying a new
Valid.
game? Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
So the emotion is what you're really going after.
Hmm.
And that's the key of parasocial interactions and parasocial relationships.
So let's break it down in next 1 or 2 minutes because I think we are already pretty
Yeah.
45 minutes in, and I don't know who else is following or watching us right now, but
They're probably
to
going,
break
this guy
down
has spoken too much. What is this asshole?
to break down, you start parasocial in a way where first you define emotions in a way, what you're
Yes.
trying to
In fact,
achieve.
there is a methodology to this. It's called the content cartograph. That's
Okay,
something
yeah.
that we have to go over as well.
Hmm.
But I'll show you what one of my things looks like later. The idea is, the first thing I do is I define what my client is trying to accomplish.
Hmm.
right? Which is, and not in the sense of sales, right? More like they want to project themselves in this lens.
Hmm.
They want to project leadership, like thought leadership, let's say,
Yeah.
right? Whatever that ambiguous term means. Or they want to show technical prowess, like
Hmm.
saying we have the best quality reports, yada, 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 just as an example. The next thing that I look at is what is the reaction I want to get out of people,
Hmm.
right? So I look at what my client wants to project, then I write down what is the reaction I want.
Hmm.
Then I do content topic and what the post should be.
Hmm.
Because once I know the reaction I want and I'm able to match that with the attribute of my client, then I'm able to build a relationship. I'm
Got
not
it.
looking at social post first. I'm looking at
Yeah,
it
of course. Yeah.
reaction first,
Hmm.
right? Because that's how, or getting people to respond emotionally to it. So that's how
Makes
I do
sense.
it.
Hmm.
The concept, it's something we will get into later on, folks. It's very interesting. And I think this is, whose is it? It's one of those big content companies only who came up with Content Cartograph. I don't know which one of them, one of the big ones.
Could be any of the ones.
Might be HubSpot only.
HubSpot,
Mm,
Hootsuite, or
yeah,
Freshworks. I don't know. Bunch of
one
them.
of those people,
Yeah.
right? But it's a very interesting concept.
Okay.
No, it's not social. Fuck, now I'm going to spend 5 minutes thinking about the name. This is going to be
Social
very.
Examiner? No.
No, no,
That's a
it's one of
blog.
those very. They were huge on Facebook as well, dude. They're one of those very. BuzzFeed.
Oh, wow.
BuzzFeed, the.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. But
You have
that's
content from
possibly.
BuzzFeed? That's amazing. Yeah.
Possibly the. Again, you may not like the content.
Hmm.
I may personally not be the biggest fan of the content, but that's not to say they don't have at least one interesting thing to talk about.
Oh, yeah. No, no, no. I'm
And
just joking.
their
Yeah.
content cartograph is the most important and interesting thing to me, at least,
Hmm.
right? But basically, how you build a parasocial interaction is start with reactions and emotions you want to incite,
Hmm.
and keep that as the final thought. 'Cause
Okay.
most people start there and then take it. Oh, it's time to bring brand into this. No, don't bring brand into this. There's no point, right? Because one of the things, in fact, the next episode we're going to record is the Google effect,
Oh, yeah.
right? And one of the things is
The biases, yeah.
Google biases, yeah. And in a nutshell, if I see an incredible post from a brand, I will forget the brand.
Hmm.
That's what is gonna happen. So I'm not really looking at, ooh, how big is my brand name on social media? It doesn't matter unless you're advertising and paying money. Doesn't
When I think KPIs get into the sales KPI, then it becomes about
yeah.
how much of the noise or how loud you can be. But I think I strongly believe, like, of course, beliefs are different, and then when it's money in the line, nobody cares about your ethics or anything. But I strongly believe when you don't really talk about your marketing, and when you are not even trying to project, that's when you win in marketing. Like, a typical example for me would be whenever Apple events happen, Samsung is just there quietly trying to promote the tweets about, hey, we already had this 10 years, 5 years back. Congratulations on getting into this now. But nobody cares. I think because now in this case, Samsung is trying to market themselves when it's not needed, and in a way they're still marketing Apple. So I think a lot of ways that is how it is. So, as you said, right? So
Yeah, and it's also the nature of relationships. What's important to understand is because culture is different, relationships are perceived differently,
fair enough.
right? In the part of the world that we are in, which is the
North America, let's cover
Western
it.
North
Yeah.
America, that part. Um, Relationships over here have a different, I wouldn't say connotation, but degree of openness
Hmm.
compared to, say, a brand that's maybe based out of Africa or based out of really a conservatively religious country,
Hmm.
right? The relationship is different because, for example, it happened especially in the Qatar World Cup, where a lot of companies were like, "Oh, this country is into like illegal labor
Yeah.
laws and stuff. Why is your company supporting it?" Which I fully get. Don't get me wrong. Incredible thing for raising up all your voices and all of that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when these companies operate over there, the relationship they have with the locals cannot be one of "you suck," right? That
True.
can't be the thing. And that's one of the things which I think we really need to start paying attention to as people who are in international markets and international times.
Hmm.
Right? The international standard of culture and relationship isn't the same. So when we are trying to create certain emotion, when you are trying to design a relationship,
Hmm.
it is almost working at the most human principles that is the most valuable.
Hmm.
But the more niche you are able to establish within your market definitions, right? For example, if you know for a fact you will never do business outside of LA,
Hmm.
your brand can be as LA as possible,
True.
right? The lingo, the permissions, the way
Gets
you
easier
speak.
too in a way.
Yeah, it gets easier, but the more national and international and levels you have, it gets a little harder. And that's why, like, you see a lot of these, let's say, international films all have more or less the same storyline,
Hmm.
right? It'll be like, say, family, something is happening, or they'll be like, kid wasn't really the smartest person in college, ended up conquering the world, cemented. And you're just like, what? Okay, cool. Why not? Sure. But
True.
that's the thing. There are a few values that transcend the world,
Hmm.
but to actually get a brand to make good use of it, that's like a good freaking writer's job. Like it's hard to do that.
Definitely. True.
Yeah,
Cool. What else?
that's pretty much it. I feel like I can talk about these topics for like ever, and
Yeah.
at this point in time, even you're checking your phone. So
No, I'm
time
just checking the recording.
so I think it's time to like bring this episode to an end.
Yeah.
And I hope you guys took away like some things at least.
Yes, I
'Cause-
did a lot actually.
Yeah,
But
because
yeah,
some of
we
these
all-
topics I fully get are like, and in this podcast thing where we're both sitting and talking, it's a lot more abstract, some of the discussions, right? But when we come to the exercises, they're a lot more concrete. And by the time this comes out, maybe you've already seen an exercise video, or rather, that's the thing you found interesting and you eventually came up here.
Oh
Because
yes.
that's what I'm hoping happens.
So I think some way or the other you're going to reach to our content, and I think that's what
Yeah.
adds value to our life. I think talking about this, enjoying, and hopefully have a larger community and parasocial interactions in the future.
like
right?
in fact, we will talk more, like maybe this is a concept we'll revisit 10 15 episodes from now on how I am actively trying to have a lot more parasocial interactions as well with not just audiences but just like being as open and frank about it. And that's like one of the things that most people, I had to like, I wouldn't say convince you hard about it, but one of the things that was a talking point for us
Yeah.
about, hey dude, just be authentic. I don't care if there's a camera, just ignore it.
Yeah.
Let's just be this.
I have been
This is
ignoring
who-
a lot. You have been looking in the camera more. So
Yeah.
I think-
I'm like bringing those people in. Somewhere I
Yeah.
read a sentence saying, if you look at the camera,
yeah.
people are more likely to be drawn in to your video. And I was like, we shall experiment. So let me know if the experiment's been successful.
Yeah.
These people, I'm asking them too many things. Let me know
Exactly.
this, let me know this.
It's time to close this episode and see you in the next one. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you, folks. Bye bye.
Thanks.
See ya.
Bye bye.